13-15.
What's your feeling at the start of this match, Pam? Hingis overwhelming favourite or a real chance for Anna?
I would say a chance for Anna, unlike the 2 times they played last year at Slams where it was all Hingis straight sets comfortably. I think today Kournikova should go in with some confidence because last week in Sydney, Hingis lost to Venus Williams, her first ever loss to one of the other 4 great teams that are out on the tour now. Look at this service action. Reaches up so beautifully, effortlessly, extends wonderfully towards her target. I mean, obviously Hingis is still the favorite. She's #1 in the world, whereas Kournikova comes into this at number 30. And that kind of rally favors Hingis. Kournikova's going to have to be very careful that she doesn't get into these long baseline rallies because Hingis has the safer game. So unforced errors from Kournikova is going to be a key stat to watch.
Advantage Hingis.
See, there you have a 40-15 lead in a game. Kournikova serving the ace to go up 40-15, and then 3 straight points. Hingis now with a break point.
That's a bonus, isn't it, for Hingis? Because Kournikova looked in control at 40-15. The world #1 breaks in the opening game. What a day in Melbourne. Yarra River and the Melbourne Park Complex. Perfect conditions. Low 20s the temperature. Bluest sky imaginable.
Well, that's going to be another key shot for Kournikova, the 2-handed backhand. That's her most powerful ground stroke. And you can see there is still good room for error over the net. Pretty close to that sideline, though. Kournikova with another lead in a game. Lost the lead in the first one from 40-15. See, now that kind of miss on the forehand tells me that Hingis is a little bit nervous. She usually doesn't miss shots by that big a margin. So this is Kournikova's 5th game point. She's 0 for 4 so far. If she loses this game, that's going to spell big trouble.
Out.
Well, Leanne White overruling.
It looked out, Pam. I've got a great view here. Honestly, looked clearly out. And it was a decisive call.
Probably out on the sideline, Bruce.
Yep.
Yep. Well, another missed smash, and joining me upstairs now, Bruce, is Nicole Bracke. And Nicole, what does Kournikova have to do to challenge Hingis today?
Well, eliminate those sort of shots there, a lot of loose shots.
Game Hingis.
Having 2 breakpoint opportunities there, you've got to make the most, or actually 3 breakpoint opportunities against players like Hingis. And then we see her mum and coach Pavel Slozil. You've really got to make the most of those opportunities. That's the hardest thing for players playing, say, the #1 player, Hingis. And once you get those opportunities, you've really got to take them and make the most of them.
Well, Kournikova's outplayed Hingis the first 2 games. She led 40-15 on her serve with some impressive points, and then the unforced errors crept in, led love 40 on Hingis's next game, and again unforced errors. This game is a must.
Well, that could be the biggest difference between the 2 players, is they both have great ground strokes, they volley well, their court awareness, well, especially Hingis, is excellent. But up in the mind, which we know can play such a big part of tennis, is the big difference between these 2.
And welcome to Liz Smiley. So here we have a situation, Liz, where Anna led 40-15 in the opening game and then didn't hold. Led love 40 against Hingis, it didn't break, and now it's 40 love. Must hold.
Certainly is a must hold. Hingis, as we've mentioned earlier, we really haven't seen the best of her yet. It's Australian Open.
So she has. Important. It's 2 games to 1. Hingis with a break. In this, the opening set.
Well, there you see Michael Klim, interested spectator out on court 4, where a match between Ai Sugiyama and Magdalena Grabowska of Poland. And of course, Michael Klim with pretty strong ties to Poland, having an interested watch there, Nicole. There you can see on the replay Hingis with a stretch one-handed backhand volley.
Well, these 2 are up against each other only last night on centre court, playing doubles against one another, and Hingis and Lucic just too good for Kournikova and Larissa Nyland.
Well, let's see if Kournikova can come back in a game. Hingis was up 30 love, now 30 all.
Net, first serve. Net, second serve.
Well, game's just slipping away for Kournikova. Not playing the big points all that well at the moment. Well, this is what I love to see. Girls of, well, especially Kournikova, 16 years of age, coming to the net behind such good ground strokes. Not letting your opponent back into the point.
Advantage Hingis.
Well, these two are going to play each other for years and years, and because they are good all-court players, we're going to see some terrific matches and points every time.
Juice.
Yep, tossing the ball up in the sun there. It's the tough end.
Advantage for
We
America.
see a little of the cross-court down the line drill happening there.
Now Kournikova has this comeback game point from 30 love on the Hingis serve. Chance to level.
Game point.
She's done it too, Pam, so it's 2 games apiece in the opening set.
Well, the backhand there from Hingis, definitely her best side. Really hit any winners from any angle.
Perhaps Kournikova really, after the wide serve, should have just done more with that second shot.
She's also got a good forehand as well.
Well, both passing shots going down the line, and perhaps it's the inexperience of Kournikova. When she makes the approaches, she looks to be covering too much of the cross court. Of course, both those were very near the sideline. Wow. Liz, that's just a great lob. That's hard to do.
Well, we've certainly talked about Hingis' court sense, haven't we? And you just get a sense of it down here on court. She's that one step faster to the ball, and it's not necessarily that she's quick around the court, but she just sees what is going to happen. And it's a tough shot to hit, a lob off a run. It's she certainly does most things pretty well, doesn't she?
2 more break points.
Serve hard to hold here in the opening set. Hingis edges it front again. It's 3 games to 2. Great struggle going on here in the opening set between the champion and the challenger here. It's 15-30. Hingis serving at 3-2.
Ooh. Well, that was really a bad miss after a pretty good drive from the backhand and then drop shot.
Definitely, I thought she maybe could have hit the roll backhand cross court, Kournikova. Hingis was already down that line. Another thing that's difficult too on this centre court, because there is so much room behind the back of the baseline and on the side of the court, you can get into trouble from running too far back. And here we see Hingis' service action.
Cheers.
Well, there was an example of that roll that you're talking about you wished Kournikova had.
Well, you're fine, and I'll be surprised if Hingis doesn't do this a couple of times during the match. When she's got Kournikova wide on the forehand, she uses the roll exceptionally well to get the players out of the court.
Choose.
Oh, there's that call out that I can't stand when young players do it, when they point out.
There's a few players that do it.
Yeah, and actually they're not always the young ones either, some of the older ones. Occasionally players get warned not to make the call with their finger.
Choose.
And that's a great serve to bring it back to juice.
Advantage Hingis.
Liz, she just plays within herself, doesn't she?
She certainly does, Pam, and it's interesting. There's Pavel Slozil, who is helping Anna Kournikova, and I think it's a wise choice of coach for her. Obviously, Pavel was with Steffi Graf for so many years, so he knows what it takes to coach a top player in the world, and I think he can only benefit Anna Kournikova in her quest to be the best in the game. I'll tell you what, even though Martina Hingis lost that point, she was not retreating. She camped on the baseline. Kournikova really is getting a lot of penetration on her ground strokes, and it's evident that Martina Hingis is going to plant herself on that baseline. She's not going to take a step back. She's going to hit a lot of half volleys if she needs to. So it's a definite pattern here by Kournikova.
So that's just a waste. If she's going to stay with Hingis, she's got to cut down the silly unforced errors.
Kournikova has 12 so far, 9 to Hingis.
Game Hingis.
It's a struggle, wasn't it? But an important game in the context of the opening set.
Hingis leads 4 games to 2.
Some Anna lookalikes. Have a look at this.
Oh, somehow I do not think so.
Maybe they missed the party the other night at the Hyatt.
And the skirt's not short enough.
Oh, look, I could go on for another hour if you like, Nicole.
Well, Liz mentioned the player party. The theme this year was to come along and drag. They encouraged any of the guys. A couple of them did, and they were beautiful.
15.
It's been a very good start to this match. Each of the games has been competitive. It's one love game in the third game of the opening set, but Anna looks as if she's on the same court as Martina and should be there right now. She's going with her all the way.
I just keep thinking back to the first 2 games of the match and how vital they were for Kournikova. Having 5 game points in those 2 games, but failing to win either one. And that's why she finds herself trailing 2-4 right now. is such a great mover. For someone who doesn't look like she's going to be a great mover, she covers so much court.
Well, she anticipates extremely well and doesn't get too far behind the back of the baseline, so she doesn't end up running twice as far as she really has to.
2 break points.
Game Hingis, new balls, please.
And now suddenly there's a gap, isn't there, on the scoreboard. Hingis is 5 games to 2 in front of Kournikova in the opening set. Welcome back here. It's Andre Agassi. Beautifully constructed point by Anna Kournikova. The opening point of this game.
She was out of position there. Came up with a little roll, Nicole.
She's well inside the baseline here. It's 5-2, Hingis serving for the opening set.
And Nicole got all excited up here when Kournikova played the little roll, but of course, a little different position in the court.
No, I remember my dad telling me when I used to play, I just don't hit that shot enough. And you see it now watching from this position. And that one wasn't so deep also. She's gone for more top spin and a little bit shorter.
Just get the feeling she's really moving Hingis around. And I look at Martina, I know she's a great mover and you're a great anticipator, but
15-30.
I think, you know, she's had such a great year last year, Hingis. She has been in better shape in her life, and I think some of the girls are looking at that and thinking, how can they take advantage of that? And I think this is what Kournikova's trying to do today. She's hit a lot of drop shots.
So breaks back.
Well, the thing everyone's been talking about is this roll shot. And what we mean by this is instead of, after this wide serve here, Kournikova goes deep with her backhand. Instead, she needs to go in this part of the court. And you can see for Hingis, it's a much easier passing attempt because of the depth instead of that roll that creates the angle.
You better make sure you cover the line, though, with Martina Hingis, because she's probably going to get to it.
Please.
See, there again, even though Kournikova won that point, what was she doing heading all the way to the left? It was almost like she's looking for the cross court here. Now, it's a subtle thing, but when you hit this kind of good approach, where is she? She's way over to the left.
Well, you can be the X point on coming to the net, Pam.
Cover the line.
Well, Lizzie, you can put up a sign in the bunker. Say, Kournikova, cover the line.
Well, I mean, Anna has hit quite a few drop shots, and I think Martina, you know, the penny's dropped. She's looking for that shot, so not only now does the drop shot have to be perfect, but you've got to make sure that you cover the next ball.
Go! Well, see, this is what we mean by shot selection. And the last 2 points, an example, the drop shot not covering the line, and then that last wasted backhand up the line, the 18th unforced error. Kournikova did this well at Wimbledon. She got to the semifinals, and she came to net a lot in her run through to the semis, and the touch on the volley was very impressive, even harder, obviously, on rebound ace. There's the one, short in the court. Still hit pretty hard, though, wasn't it?
40-30.
But maybe if it would have gone deep, Kournikova, well, Hingis would have got the depth if it was deep. She could have tossed up another high lob.
Needed it, didn't she? And done well. We're back on serve. Christoph van Gaas. 3 breaks of serve against Kournikova in the opening set. 2 against Martina Hingis. It's 5-4. She serves for it again, as she did at 5-2. It's been a really good match.
Ooh, how big was that first point?
Well, Hingis, her match against Barbara Rittner was up 5-love, was she? And then got back to 5-4.
5-all.
Actually, 5-all. Yep.
So it should be an interesting game, this one.
Ooh, close.
Pam, I think the experience factor is such a thing too. Here, Hingis is only 9 months younger, but this is her 13th Grand Slam event. She's won so many titles and Grand Slam championships, and for Kournikova, just her 5th. There's a big gap, isn't there?
But Bruce, the gaps can so quickly change with these young players. That's what's amazing. You saw Venus Williams at the U.S. Open with her run through to the finals. Kournikova, the semis of Wimbledon.
Well, such experienced campaigners at such a young age.
But the shot selection here under pressure has been interesting. Just sitting here, there's been a huge difference in the experience factor for Hingis.
Well, at the point at 15-all, we saw Martina look up to the clouds and sort of poke her tongue out. She knew she was lucky. Anna Kournikova had missed that forehand angle she'd gone for.
Game of the set, 6 games to 4.
Another thing that Hingis does extremely well is that she doesn't feel that she needs to hit right near the lines to win the point. She hits well within, say, a couple of feet of the lines to set the point up.
And how smart with her as we look at Melanie Molitor. I don't know, I got a little itches there, I guess.
There's a
But
lot of hair there.
how smart was that of Hingis to buy herself time with that high loopy one, or not let Kournikova rather buy time by coming in and taking it in the air?
58 goals.
She just is, she's always a step ahead, or most times.
We've talked about Martina Hingis' anticipation. Pam, do you think that is something that you can teach a player, or is that something that you just have?
Well, I think in this case, Melanie Molitor, the mom, was working with a pretty gifted thing, but I think Melanie Molitor, her mom and coach, has done an outstanding job bringing that instinct to the forefront, because you need reinforcement. It's one thing to have instinct, but you still need encouragement to come through with it.
Yes, well done. Hold serve to love, opening game of the second set. Martina Hingis won the first set, 6 games to 4. To centre court. Thanks, John. This is the opening point of the second game of the second set.
And just another great lob. And it's like, it's obviously the shot to play, but Hingis, that's what she does well. She plays the shot that must be played nearly every time.
And I don't think you can teach someone that. I think they just know.
See, I think it's a combination of things. I really think the mom's done an outstanding job. She really knows her stuff. I just think you're not born with the fact to know to take mid-court volleys and come in. I mean, there's certain things that are definitely instinctual, but there's other things that you need some help.
So that's just wasted opportunities, as we see Kournikova having a bit of mumble to herself.
Perhaps, Liz, maybe the frame of mind to be able to be the all-court player and to be able to quickly recognize, make decisions on the court. Perhaps that's the instinctual part.
And it's difficult to combat that, isn't it, Pam? I mean, you know, you say to someone, all right, you need to move around, you need to come to the net, but you need to know what to do when you get there. Like right now, we're watching Kournikova, and she's got the foundation to play Hingis the correct way. But right now, she doesn't know where to look for the next shot.
And just a few loose shots that come in. And there we have.
There's Pete Sampras, who'll play Hisham Arazi tomorrow in the fourth round, defending his title here, as Martina Hingis is. And a Kournikova at 1-1 in the second set.
15.
See, I just think it's great that both players at 17 and 16, they're willing to throw in the serve volley point. They're willing to do all these different kind of things that we didn't see from the young players 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely right. Even longer ago, the players were one-dimensional, quite happy to stay on the baseline and wait till the girl down the other end made the error. But I think the change in equipment, girls just hitting the ball so much harder these days, you just cannot expect to win if you're one-dimensional anymore. You really must be able to take the short ball either in the air or play an approach shot and be able to volley when you get there.
And really, of the 5 young ones that we talk most about, the 2 Williamses, Kournikova, Hingis, and Lucic, the only one that's not showing the versatility is Lucic, who we saw play Mayoli the other night and have great power. But where is the all-court stuff?
She doesn't have the all-court stuff yet, but I like Lucic's attitude. She impressed me with her attitude.
She's pretty feisty the other night. I mean, that's one thing about the 5 of them. You can't say they're shy.
Certainly not.
Well, that's good, isn't it? You need contrast. I think that's what people like to see in tennis. They like to see the fiery competitor against the cool one, the serve volleyer against the baseliner.
She's starting to look comfortable on serve at the moment, Kournikova. Leads 2-1 in the second set. For that sharp competition, it's 40-15, Hingis serving.
Gosh, I better get going then. Got to enter that contest.
It's a good example of what we've been talking about, that sort of theme that Kournikova really had that point, didn't she?
She did, and look at the way Hingis moves diagonally towards that. She just doesn't run straight across. She knew that Kournikova was probably going to go cross-court.
Won 12 of the last 13 points on her own serve, Kournikova, from the 9th game of the first set.
Well, drop shot's difficult on this surface. Really doesn't sit up. Hingis the one who's playing the loose points on the serve of Kournikova.
Herself and wait for it. She actually goes to the ball, hits it, and then just keeps running.
Well, now a big point for Kournikova after having the 30-love lead and holding serve comfortably the first 2 games.
Kournikova, to me, just seems to rush a lot. She doesn't seem to take her time, and I guess that's why some of the loose shots come in. She doesn't really... I know she thinks about her shots, but sometimes she just needs to take that extra little time.
Well, at 153 Ks, if you are going to serve volley, you've got to place it perfectly. That one just not quite making Hingis uncomfortable enough. A wasted opportunity.
Well, that one needed to be more directed to the single sideline.
Advantage
Just not doing enough with that volley. But it's still encouraging that she's coming to the net. She's not afraid to come to the net.
Juice.
Crucial game, Pam, isn't it, this one? I mean, could tell us so much about the end result of this match.
Well, we saw the first set be decided by games where Kournikova led, then lost the game. Here she led 30-love and then had a game point. There was just a break point for Hingis.
Advantage Hingis.
That's where I wish sometimes Kournikova would be a little more comfortable with a one-handed slice. When she's really on the run like that last one and she's stretched, it would be good if she could let go and be confident with a slice. It's another thing Hingis does so well.
Oh, Martina Hingis just beaten for pace of shot. And I think we've noticed that today, Bruce. I think Kournikova is really hitting the ball harder than what Martina Hingis is today.
No doubt about that.
Well, she hit the ball harder at Wimbledon as well, and oftentimes it's the rocket off the two-handed backhand.
Advantage Hingis.
We see all the time, though, harder doesn't necessarily mean better.
Juice.
Now, fighting off 3 break points here is big for Kournikova. If she can find a way to hold this service game, we'll find out in the next game whether or not the momentum can shift her way.
Advantage Hingis.
Kournikova looking at the linesman there, but that ball looked well in.
She's almost in your bunker.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing, Pam. Just keep on walking, pull up a chair. Tell us what you think.
Well, she got to it quite easily.
She was a long way behind the baseline, though. Yeah. She was never ever going to play an effective shot from back there.
Maybe a lob, huh?
Advantage Hingis.
Well, the pattern continues. Kournikova just cannot win the deuce point. And Hingis can't win the ad point. Just waits, doesn't she?
Kournikova sometimes coming in on a wing on a prayer, really. I mean, it's good and well to come in, but you've really got to choose the right shot.
Juice.
Boy, Pam, you're good at this. How long have we been going and how many points? How many break chances has Martina had? 5? 6. So Anna's right in this. What a game this has turned out to be.
And that's the first time the pattern's been broken in a long, long while. Crowd's pretty much behind Kournikova.
Juice.
That's the way it happens, and sometimes these marathon games, they just go on and on. Bruce, I'm going to count up the points now. Don't talk to me.
Taking your shoes off yet?
No,
Yes.
it's still on.
This is the 21st point of this rally. 8 deuces.
Advantage Kournikova.
Do you all agree this is crucial, though? Whichever way this goes, this game?
Certainly is. Anna Kournikova's really got to stay with it here.
It would just be a huge psychological boost for Kournikova to win this little war. She's done it.
That's big, isn't it? Very neatly poised now, this match. Anna Kournikova and Martina Hingis. And the 16-year-old is taking it right up to the 17-year-old champion. Losing nothing here. 6-4 Hingis, the opening set. Kournikova leads 3 games to 2 in the second.
15 all.
That's the only thing you can criticize about the way Kournikova's played this match. She'll suddenly just come up with a high-risk return on a big point that's not necessary.
Well, that's too good. I think that's just too good. The approach was fine.
13-15.
Kournikova is doing a lot of looking up to her corner here, and she just did it then. So obviously she's been told that this is what she needs to do, and she knows she needs to do it, but sometimes when things don't come off, it's pretty tough to keep doing.
14-15.
She moves too early, Kournikova. When she comes in for the approach, she picks one side or the other quite quickly.
And
And Hingis, yeah, holds off.
Hingis is great at kind of watching.
Again, Hingis.
Hingis holds. It's 3-all now in the second set.
Anna, you're gonna love it.
Anna won just 4 games against Martina at the French when they first played. 5 at Wimbledon. She's got 7 on the board here.
That last game, though, was a big let-off at love 15.
Well, Hingis has to start to look for that one when she's coming to the... when Kournikova's coming to the net. I think she's done it about 3 times. I mean, it's tough shots to hit, the sort of drop volley. She does it with ease.
13 all.
Her second ace of the match.
Well, Kournikova led 30-love in her last service game before it ended up going 22 points long, and before she finally won it. She needs to hang on to these leads and have some routine service games.
Get the serve.
I think Kournikova might be right here. You can see Georgina Clark in the background, all the referees and tour directors right behind Kournikova. You know, earlier we were saying how she needed to watch the line. The last 2 backhands, what do you do?
Well, it's very difficult for the umpire to call that line. Kournikova was in the way, in her vision.
I think on that last replay, it definitely looked out.
It's a positive response, isn't it?
Plus the crowd, you know, the crowd can have an effect on the match too. The crowd really giving Anna Kournikova a big cheer when she sent down that serve.
She's done it. She held again, so it's 4-3 in the second set. Big crowd here. I know it's only the second set, but you feel like you're a bit on the knife edge here. Anna's mum and Coach, and Liz, I think we're all hoping it goes to a third set because we're going to find out a lot about Anna and a fair bit about Martina if it does, if this match can go on.
Most definitely. You're finding out something now. Hingis is
15.
well, coming up with the goods with that serve, but she knows she has a game on her hands here. Martina liked that one.
But another example of great tennis, sure, but another example that Anna probably should have won the point in the end.
Right here with a volley, Bruce.
Yep.
Just didn't hit it far enough away from Martina Hingis. Martina lunging. I don't know how much string that ball got then, but enough racket to get it back over. That's too big. Just beaten for pace of shot, Martina Hingis there. Well, I think this is, sorry Nicole, but I think this is the hardest that Martina Hingis has hit the ball so far in the match.
See the unforced errors from Kournikova. She's 9 ahead in that category. But in the forced errors, the other way around, she's 8 ahead. So you add those two up, and it's a very even match. Kournikova's forcing the play more, gonna make some more errors.
So we're up to 4-all.
Just look at these two and you wonder whether or not they can possibly have a rivalry or play as many times as Chrissy and Martina played, or any of the teams that are within a year and a half of each other's age right now. Remember, Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert played each other 80 times. This is their third meeting. They got a long way to go, but they're 16 and 17.
Not 15.
Of course, people's careers are not as long now. They don't tend to play well into their 30s the way Martina and Chris did.
And you did.
Thank you, but I didn't play too well in my 30s. Except when Liz carried me around the doubles court.
30.
Gee.
Well, this is the difference between the two. We can see in this game here.
But unlike the two matches last year at the Grand Slams, Kournikova's definitely staying with her in this match. Regardless of what happens, Kournikova's got to come away saying, yep, I can beat her.
All. 14-30.
Well, now it's the other way around. Hingis has let Kournikova off the last 3 points with a couple of unforced errors. Love 30, there was all sorts of pressure.
Boy, a couple of double faults and then forcing a couple of errors and a couple of unforced, and it's 5-4 Kournikova. Welcome back in centre court, 7 sport of the Australian Open. Martina Hingis serving at 4-5.
As you were mentioning about the firepower from Kournikova, Hingis doesn't really hit the ball that hard. She seems just to be able to move the people around the court, jerk them around.
15 all.
2 games in a row, the love 15 point is wasted from Kournikova.
Thirteen, 15.
More on the Hingis serve. Sometimes it's your best opportunity in a point.
All.
2 points away from the set, Kournikova.
40-30.
Just rush that.
Return of serve from Kournikova has really stepped up in the last couple of games.
Advantage Hingis.
That always happens.
Boy, whatever the outcome of this match, you'd have to say at the end that for periods in this match, Kournikova's outplayed Hingis.
Well, it's no place for the faint-hearted, is it? Got to give credit to Kournikova. She's certainly sticking to a game plan.
Advantage Kournikova.
Game plan of going for it, coming in.
She had this before against Hingis in her life, a set point.
Ooh, pressure on this second serve.
Coming right in. She's done it. Kournikova and Martina Hingis back on court. Martina broke Anna to love in the opening game of the third set and then went off court to change her clothes. Anna went with her and now we're back here, so it's 1-love.
Well, Melanie's looking a little bit worried there.
Well, she would have been a lot more worried had Martina Hingis not played such a good first game, and on the other hand, Kournikova with a double fault really let Hingis step all over in the first game. See whether the momentum switch was just that brief 4-point run or if it's going to continue.
I think that bathroom break may have done Anna Kournikova a bit of good, maybe. She seemed like she was getting faster and faster, maybe just to kind of break up the pace for her.
This is Hingis' second ace.
Same number as Kournikova. Boy, you seldom see her miss a volley by that much. I think it was the pace and open racket face.
30-40.
Well, that second serve needs to be jumped on. Surprised Kournikova didn't go for the outright winner, but still gets a break point.
Net, first serve.
Guess what comes around goes around. You see her mum clenching her fist there.
One game now.
Pretty even scoreline.
Is it an even money bet, do you reckon? Or do you still think Hingis is 2s on or 3s on as she would have started?
Oh, let me think about that. Kournikova has outplayed her. It's just the unforced errors. If she can keep them intact, then she can win this match.
And this time we noticed Kournikova moving in when she hit the drop shot.
It's been our feeling down here, hasn't it, Liz, that Anna's got a chance to win here. It's whether she's ready to win.
For sure, and that's a big hurdle. You know, for someone that's up and coming, it's a big hurdle to overcome.
Well, I really... Sorry, go ahead, Liz.
Go ahead, Pam.
Well, I was going to say, I think if Venus Williams had not beaten Hingis last week in Sydney, I don't think Kournikova would have come in with as positive a thought.
I think if anyone believes that they can win a match and beat a #1 player in the world, it's that girl out there now serving, Anna Kournikova.
She waited one too long to come in.
Should have come in on that, the shot before.
This one. Now that's where Hingis would have been all over it, all over the floaty one, and hit the volley early.
Game Hingis.
Close. Oh. Well, it's hard to hold serve right now, isn't it? Hingis 2-1.
Hingis leads 2 games to 1.
A long ball there, letting Hingis off the hook, but still 2 break chances here to go back to 2-all in the third set. Fantastic play, and that's a 3rd consecutive match, or game I should say, that Kournikova has broken Hingis' serve. Broken the final game of the second set, and Martina hasn't been able to hold in this set. Neither's Anna, by the way.
We talk about the versatility of Hingis, and there's a couple of things probably I'd like to see her try and do is maybe use her slice backhand a little bit more, and maybe throw up a few high loopy ones just to change Kournikova's game plan just a little bit.
Hunger's going to count for a lot from here on in, I reckon, at this stage of the match.
Despite her much talked about looks, she's very hungry, Kournikova. Some people have talked about how, you know, all this talk about the way she looks on the court and all the ease of getting big endorsements and all this stuff, that it's hurt her competitive spirit, but I don't think it has at all.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, Pam, to see how she coordinates everything as her career progresses, how she handles it all.
And here we have this time the roll forehand. instead of going the other way to the backhand.
14-15.
Well, I know we're back on serve, but it's actually the first time Anna's had a nose in front in this match. It's 3-2 in the third set.
Well, why isn't this man working, for crying out loud? John Alexander, well, I see why he needs to do a little work on the court. Just look at the middle there. He needs to do a little 2-on-1s, don't you think, Liz?
Is that slow-mo or...
No, we've quickened it up. He's playing later today with Denty against Ross Case and Jeff Masters. But this is crucial here. Kournikova, if you were betting on this match right now, would be favourite for the first time, wouldn't she?
Just.
You never gave me a reply on the even money. I reckon she's odds on just slightly.
I'll tell you what, Bruce, if you go against the #1 player in the world in women's tennis last 20 years, at any point you're in deep trouble. They just find ways.
It's a good point.
But end of last year, Hingis lost to Kutzer in the semifinals of Leipzig, lost in the quarters to Raymond in Zurich, and lost in the Chase Championships in the quarters to Pierce.
13-15.
And this is also why 2 really good points from Hingis, a retrieving point and then the free point with the serve.
Well, Liz, that's just a great get.
Well, but where was Anna? I mean, we've seen her move forward quite a bit in this match, but she didn't look for that ball to come back over the net.
Game Hingis.
Do you know what, Pam?
Hingis just sent Kournikova a nice little message in that game.
And I've just changed the odds slightly, Pam. You're dead right. Gee, that was a determined game by Martina, wasn't it?
It was almost justice, really, because earlier on in the second set, I think, or late towards the second set, she got the let cord.
I don't know, I still think that if Martina Hingis is going to win this match, I think she's got to get off the baseline. You can't rely on your opponent. If Kournikova hits those big ground strokes in, she's going to win. If she misses them, you know, Hingis is going to win, but I'd like to see Martina take a little bit more command. Well, she covered the line, but the lob just was never going to be good enough.
Well, the other number for Kournikova that's very good is the few unforced errors she's committed recently. They're both in the 30s on unforced errors. Kournikova at 39, Hingis at 33. That's very close, considering that Kournikova's the one trying to knock off winners more so than Hingis.
Oh, it's good tennis, isn't it?
Well, that's the first time we've seen Anna Kournikova really handle that slice backhand from Martina Hingis. Just not trying to hit a volley off it, but playing a great angle back cross court. She's seen enough of those shots today.
That's a shot of Hingis that needs to find a little bit more range in the third set, is her down the line backhand.
It's one of the reasons she got to be #1 in the world last year, had the best one.
See,
if the chips are really tight or the chips are down, you've got to figure Kournikova's going to come up with that kind of error a lot more than Hingis, and that's why you still give Hingis the edge.
Well, Martina's mad at herself. She was running way before Anna Kournikova hit that drop volley. She knew that it was coming. Unfortunately, just not being able to get it back over the net once she got there. Clenched fist there from Anna Kournikova. She knows this is a big game.
Advantage Hingis.
Some changing up there, Nicole.
I think, well, you notice she didn't come in and take it early. She went back. Instead of moving forward, taking them early.
It's definite change of pattern, the loopy forehand down the line to Kournikova.
Cheers.
Well, if the fifth game of the second set was important, this is doubly, isn't it? It's a huge game now.
And they both know it.
Advantage Kournikova.
Well, she's pumped. Taking that forehand early on the rise.
Game Kournikova.
Big, big, big game for that young woman. It's 4-3 in the third. It's 4-3 in the third.
Ford Falcon is the only Australian family sedan that can pull 2,300 kilograms. That's why Ford's number one.
It's going to be an uphill battle to get our young athletes to the Olympic Games, but every time you become a Badalla fella, we'll contribute 5 cents to help get them to the Games. Badalla, we're one of the fellas behind Australia's Olympic team.
The Swiss know that to give your skin softness, it needs an exact proportion of calendula and elderflower. To reduce the appearance of fine lines, fruit acids must be precisely balanced with wild pansy and sage. To give you clear, radiant skin, St. Ives have developed the Swiss Formula range. Swiss Formula for beautiful, healthy-looking skin.
So what a moment here with Martina Hingis serving. Her mum, Melanie Molitor, looking on. It's 3-4. The rafter game, by the way, match tonight will be on the big screen here in the garden for those people that are here today with ground passes. They'll be able to watch it. You'll be able to watch it on 7. Great shot around Australia. 6:30 our telecast tonight. Well, I know she's a beautiful young woman, but I now know what all the fuss has been about for Kournikova.
15.
She's a genuine player, isn't she?
They don't give away semi-finals at Wimbledon, Bruce.
No.
I think another difference too has been the return of serve from Kournikova compared to that of Hingis. A number of free points.
13-15.
It's another love 15 game where Kournikova just lets Hingis off. Now that last return, she just got it nicely back into play. She didn't, it's not like she had the winning shot right there, so she looped it back safely, and then Hingis made an unforced error.
Well, the pressure's on Hingis, isn't it? She's the one that's down 3-4. She must hold.
She's got a lot more to lose too. I mean, she's defending a championship, isn't she?
And she's at a delicate moment in her career. She's had a great year last year, won 3 of the 4 Grand Slams. You know, things haven't started out this year the way that she would have liked them to start out for Martina Hingis.
Coupled with those losses, the end of '97.
I was just wondering if there was any wind or was it calm conditions down there on centre court?
Calm. Sorry to jump in, but I think that's the only thing that is calm right now, because everything else is pretty.
Have you got a list, Bruce?
There's an outside court result coming up in a moment. Kiefer has got through against Colmar. Bad luck for the Frenchman having to retire. So the Germans still going in the men's singles. I don't know about you guys, but I've got sweaty palms here. You feel like it's a watershed match, don't you, in women's tennis?
It's turning into a real classic. Well, when you're 16, you come up with some of the great shots, but some of the real bonehead plays. That last drop shot, not good at all.
Tell me how you really feel, Pam.
I don't think too many people would have called Anna a bonehead before.
But that's why you have sweaty palms, because you never know what in the world's going to happen. See, now 2 in a row there. It's just Kournikova's the one that swings back and forth so much more than Hingis. And of course, if she can have a great swing here, suddenly it could be over in 6-8 points. On forced errors, Kournikova now creeping a bit ahead, 11.
Two break points.
Well, this time Hingis clenching the fist. It's a bold move to serve volley. 15-30. And this time holding up the racket there.
And a terrible game.
Yep, she's picking everything up again, just as Liz said before the break before. And Hingis will come out and serve for it after this.
Well, this is the real bonehead drop shot play from Kournikova. This gets a big X. But of course, I didn't have it set up to do the X. I had it set up to do the circle. My bonehead.
Just what Hingis wanted, wasn't it? An easy point to start as she serves for the match.
Six straight points since that drop shot.
The wheels have definitely fallen off. And this gives Hingis 3 match points.
Net for serve.
She loves to serve volley when she's 3 match points up.
Bruce, I'm going to put the money on Hingis.
Oh, aren't you brave?
Game set match Hingis 2 sets to 1. 6-4, 4-6, 6-4.
Well, it was amazing, really, the shot selection at 15 love. It led to 8 straight points for Hingis.
Just think of 4 all and love 15.
Actually, 15 love, Kournikova's serve.
Yeah, and Martina got through, but I think she knows better than anyone that it was a skin of the teeth job, and that maybe that was the first real battle between these two young women that will take place over the next few years. I just felt, Liz, had it been gymnastics, figure skating, diving, this young woman would have got more points. If it had been subjective and you'd seen the way they played today, she actually outplayed Martina for more than 50% of that match.
I agree with you, Bruce. I think that she did outplay the #1 player in the world, but unfortunately for her, just couldn't quite sustain what she needed to do, and that's why Martina Hingis is the #1 player in the world.
And Nikki, for Martina at this stage of the tournament, that's probably a pretty good result to have a really tough 3-setter.
I think she needed that tough 3-setter. As we can see, she'll play now the winner of Bouzouki or Van Roost. But Hingis having really only 1 match last week in Sydney and losing, and then coming here and, just finding her way through the first couple of rounds, and she really needed a test. And she came through it. I don't know, you might have to ask Craig to ask her that question, how she felt about having that 3-set match, whether she liked it or not.
Well, this young one will be back, won't she?
Oh, hey, look, she goes off this court, actually. She's being very disappointed, but she now knows that she can beat Martina Hingis, and she did not know that last year.
2 winners in a way today, weren't they? Because she's bridged a gap today, you feel, don't you? She has made at least a step forward.
Yeah. Well, there's a look at the stats. You can see they're almost level with first serve 1 when they get their first serve in. Hingis just 5 points higher. Come on down the list a bit more. Winners, Many more to Kournikova, particularly off the backhand side. They're just about level on the forehand. Points won a net, edge to Hingis, but pretty close. It's the unforced errors that hurt Anna Kournikova.
Didn't they grow quickly, Pam? Up to 50. I think it was 39 to 32 or something when we looked
exactly. At it. And there you go. Only 3 more for Hingis during that spell, and 11 for Kournikova, and that's in the crucial part of the third set.
Well, Hingis probably looks at it at 4-all in the third set. If she can keep hitting those winners, that's too good. But I'm just going to try and keep getting the ball back, getting it deep, and doing what I know I do best.
Yeah, I feel she really tightened Hingis myself, but she was so tight, but Kournikova made so many errors that she had to loosen in the end. Craig Willis with the #1 player in the world, defending champion Martina Hingis.
All smiles. Bruce, thank you. Congratulations. But that second set.
Well, yeah, I was kind of, just hanging in there, but I didn't make too much myself, and, I just tried to come back in the third, and I started playing better.
Yeah, she did play well though, Anna, didn't she?
Well, she always comes into it in the second set. She usually loses the first easily, but today she was just more aggressive in the second set especially, but I tried to make more in the third.
But do you think that's the hardest you've hit the ball out there today on centre court?
Well, we played doubles yesterday each other, and they were hitting just so hard. Mariana is also my doubles partner, and she hits the ball so hard, so I was just sometimes watching, but it was a good win for us.
We talked the other day about the defence of your first Grand Slam title win here in Melbourne. That must have been a big motivation there today when you were looking down a couple of break points.
Oh yeah, especially, I was just trying, I've lost against Venus last week in Sydney, so I just tried to not to do the same mistake as I did there, and I was, probably I'm better in shape now with the heat, and I'm more used to it, so that kind of helped me. I didn't need the 10 minutes break as probably last week, so I'm happy.